In today's world, life without banks would be impossible. From our homes, groceries, cars, vacations and education to trade, agriculture, commerce and industry, every segment of society is dependent upon banks. Even governments need banks to perform their functions more efficiently and effectively. Although banking in one form or another has been in existence for ages, modern banking, that we see today, is of rather recent origin. The biggest characteristic of banks is that it bridges the void existing between surplus and deficit segments of a country or region. At one end are people who have more money than they need or can spend. Hence, they look for opportunities which are safe, liquid, and remunerative. On the opposite end are those people who have profitable business opportunities but are short of capital. Banks stand between these two extremes. It borrows money from the surplus segment, at a lower rate, and lends it to the segment which is short of funds, at a higher rate and, in this way makes profits. But profit is not the only advantage that accrues from banking. The real advantage is accumulation and channelizing of national savings into investable opportunities. Now let's have a look at the formal definition of a bank. According to Banking Ordinance, a bank is a financial institution, which accepts money from the public for lending or investment, repayable on demand or withdrawable by checks, drafts or transfer. In simple words, bank is any organization which is established with the minimum required paid-up capital and is authorized by the central bank to accept public deposits, honor checks, collect checks, and advance loans. There are many types of banks such as commercial banks, microfinance banks, merchant or investment banks, and several types of specialized banks, such as agricultural banks, industrial banks, and mortgages banks. Now, let me, very briefly, describe what each of these types of banks does. The most common type of banks is the commercial banks. Commercial banks are regulated by the central bank of the country. These banks accept deposits from the public and lend this money to businesses, households, and governments. Commercial banks also provide a variety of ancillary services. Although a large number of alternative distribution channels such as online banking, ATMs, mobile banking, and internet banking are quickly becoming popular, brick-and-mortar branches are still the preferred mode of transactions for most of commercial banks' customers. A merchant and investment bank typically works with businesses for raising capital for businesses from commercial banks and general public through private placements and initial public offerings, IPOs. Investment banks also provide advice to companies regarding potential mergers and acquisitions, and provide investment research to clients. These banks strive to build relationships with corporations so that the institution can provide a variety of services. But investment banks do not provide regular banking services to the general public. Microfinance, also called microcredit, is a type of banking service that is provided to unemployed or low-income individuals or groups who otherwise have no other access to financial services. While institutions participating in the area of microfinance are most often associated with lending, many offer additional services, including bank accounts and microinsurance products, and provide financial and business education. Ultimately, the goal of microfinance is to give impoverished people an opportunity to become self-sufficient. A specialized bank is a bank with specialized areas of activity, as opposed to a universal bank. Specialized banks include mortgage and housing finance banks, agricultural banks, and industrial banks. Mortgage banks grant long-term loans for real estate construction, home purchase, or to fund public projects. Agricultural banks provide loans and related services to farmers in order to provide for input costs and build their capacity and help in ensuring food security. Industrial banks provide financing for setting up large-scale industries in the country which would generate employment and improve standard of living of general public. Our first lesson concludes here. Thank you for watching.